Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Royal Rumble 2025 marked the end of an era as former WWE World Heavyweight Champion John Cena competed in his last 30-man battle royal. An emotional Triple H bid goodbye to one of the all-time greats from the Royal Rumble Premium live event, as he wouldn't compete at the marquee show ever again. The Cenation leader entered the match at number 23 and lasted over 30 minutes, making it to the final two before being eliminated by Jey Uso. This was Cena's last ever Royal Rumble, as he embarks on his farewell tour in WWE. The star is set to retire at the end of the year. During the Royal Rumble post-show press conference, Chief Content Officer Triple H called John Cena one of the greatest performers, and shared his thoughts before the champ walked out to compete in the Royal Rumble match last night. The Hunter said that the former World Heavyweight Champion checked a box of his last Royal Rumble appearance. In a wrestling capacity, he asked fans to cherish every moment of his farewell tour. John Cena may have failed to book his WWE WrestleMania 41 main event berth through a Royal Rumble win, but he isn't giving up yet. During the press conference, the 47-year-old legend declared that he would be participating in the men's WWE Elimination Chamber match, which takes place in Canada on March 1, with Jey Uso seemingly confirming he would go after Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. It looks like John Cena will be eyeing Cody Rhodes' undisputed WWE Championship. The energy in the air was electric following the 2025, the kind of electricity that only the WWE Universe could create. Fans in the stands were still buzzing from the conclusion of the night's events, the echoes of "We Want Cena" and "This is awesome" reverberating through the arena. But beneath the raw excitement of the show's final moments, something deeply emotional was unfolding backstage in a corridor lit only by the pale light of flickering bulbs. Triple H stood alone. His usual confidence was slightly tempered with a somber tone, an unfamiliar weight on his broad shoulders. He had lived this life for decades, and his legacy had been cemented in the annals of professional wrestling history. He had seen legends come and go, victories celebrated and heroes made. But tonight was different. He was here to bid farewell to a friend. His steps echoed as he walked toward a locker room at the far end of the corridor. He had seen the signs for months now, the toll the business had taken on the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It wasn't just the physical scars, it was the emotional toll too. As much as the man had given to the WWE Universe, there was only so much one could endure. The door was slightly ajar, a crack of light illuminating the room within. Triple H knocked once, then entered without waiting for a response inside. The former champion sat slumped on a bench, head down, staring at the belt he had once worn with pride. The gleaming gold of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship had long since lost its luster, now seeming like a weight too heavy to bear. The man, his name etched in the history of wrestling, seemed like a shadow of the warrior he once was. "Didn't think I'd find you here," Triple H said softly, breaking the silence that had hung in the air like a thick fog. The champion looked up slowly. His face, once fierce and determined, now held a quiet resolve, as if he had already come to terms with the decision that lay ahead. A slight smirk formed on his lips, a faint trace of the defiant spirit that had carried him to the top of the wrestling world. "What can I say? This place has a way of making you reflect, doesn't it?" Triple H walked in, closing the door behind him. He took a moment to survey the room, the posters of past glories, the memorabilia, the countless photographs that chronicled a career of triumphs. It was the epitome of everything that had been, everything that this man had accomplished. And yet, it all felt like a distant memory. "You've been thinking about it a lot, huh?" Triple H asked, taking a seat next to him. He didn't need to ask. He knew the answer. They both did. The former champion nodded, his gaze fixed on the championship belt. "It's hard to let go. This was my dream. Everything I've worked for, the matches, the crowds, the highs, the lows. I gave everything to this business, but I think it's time." Triple H nodded in understanding. He had been there before. Hell, he was there now in some ways. There was a time when he too had doubted whether he could continue. The wear and tear on his body, the nights spent alone in hotel rooms, the loss of relationships, the relentless pursuit of something greater, only to realize it wasn't enough to fill the void. He had had his own moments of reflection. "I get it," Triple H said, his voice steady. "It's not easy. You're not just walking away from a job, or even from an industry, you're walking away from your life, the one thing that's been constant for so long." The former champion's hand slowly ran over the championship belt, tracing its intricate design as though it were a map of his soul. "I don't think I'll ever truly walk away, though. This belt, this title, it's a part of me, always will be, but the grind, the endless road, I can't keep up anymore. I'm running on fumes." Hunter, Triple H's eyes softened. He knew all too well how it felt to give everything to the business, only to reach the point where even the passion couldn't keep you going. He could see the exhaustion in the other man's eyes, the physical strain, the mental drain. There was only so much a body could take, and even the greatest champions couldn't keep pushing indefinitely. "You've done more than most could ever dream of," Triple H said. "You're one of the best to ever step in this ring, but I think you've earned the right to decide when your time is up," the former champion chuckled, albeit weakly. "It's hard to let go, after everything, the blood, sweat and tears. I always thought there'd be one more run, one more match, one more title reign, but this is different." Triple H leaned back, resting against the locker room wall. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. The people who matter know what you gave, and you don't owe this place anything. Hell, this place owes you." For a moment, the room was quiet again, save for the faint hum of the arena's distant machinery. The former champion looked at Triple H with a mix of admiration and gratitude. "You always did know what to say, but how do you let go? How do you walk away from everything?" Triple H let out a slow breath, contemplating the question. This wasn't something he had ever really figured out for himself. Walking away from wrestling wasn't as simple as stepping through the ropes and walking to the bag. There were always lingering thoughts, always moments of doubt. But there was also peace in knowing that you had given everything and left it all on the mat. "Maybe you never fully let go. I still think about the ring, the fans, the rush, but you learn to embrace the next chapter. You find new ways to be part of this. You might not be in the ring anymore, but your legacy doesn't fade. It lives on through everything you've built, through every young star that steps into that ring and tries to become what you were." The champion considered his words, his gaze drifting to the door as though imagining what lay beyond it. It was difficult to imagine life without the constant travel, the adrenaline-fueled nights, and the endless crowds chanting his name. But in the quiet of the locker room, it became apparent that something had shifted in his heart. The fire that had once burned so brightly was starting to flicker out. He had given everything to this business, but it was time to make room for others. "I don't know what's next," the champion confessed, his voice low but resolute. "But maybe that's okay. Maybe it's time for me to step aside and let the future take over. The business doesn't stop for anyone." Triple H patted him on the back, a silent gesture of support. "You're right, the business doesn't stop, but what matters is what you've done, and you've done it all. No one can ever take that from you." The former champion stood up, slowly removing the belt from around his waist and placing it on the bench beside him. It was a powerful moment, a symbolic gesture of relinquishing something he had once fought so hard to obtain. He was no longer the man who had hoisted that title above his head in victory. He was something else now, a man at peace with his legacy. "I'm not going to make a big spectacle of it," the former champion said. "I'm not going to announce my retirement with some grand speech. I'm not that guy. I think I've said all I need to say with this title." Triple H nodded in agreement. "No need for drama. Your legacy speaks for itself." The two men stood in silence for a moment longer, the weight of their shared history hanging in the air between them. The lights outside the locker room flickered once more, casting a final, lingering glow on the championship belt as it lay motionless on the bench. It was a fitting symbol of the end of an era, of a warrior's final chapter. Before Triple H left the locker room, he placed a hand on the former champion's shoulder. "Whatever comes next for you," he said with sincerity, "know this, you'll always be one of the greats. Nobody can ever take that from you." With that, Triple H walked out of the room, leaving the former champion behind to reflect on his career, his future, and the incredible journey that had led him here. As the door closed behind him, the sound of the crowd still reverberating in the arena, the champion stood alone, at peace with his decision, and ready to embrace whatever came next. The business would go on. But so would his legacy. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our WWE official YouTube channel for more update news.